What it do, guys? Manjoume here, and this is my adventure deck profile matte version. For the eggs, we're running 4 copies of ST21 Sunomon. It's inheritable on deletion. You may return 1 Digimon card with the adventure trait from your trash to your hand. Is really good and allows you to recycle some of your pieces. And one of the reasons, that we're not as concerned when stuff gets deleted or discarded, because we can just get it back. For the level 3s, we're running 4 copies of ST21 Gabumon. He's inheritable when attacking. Once per turn, draw 1, discard 1 is going to be really great for the deck that we can grab back. With the Sunomon, synergizes with the Tamer really well. His turn ability is if your opponent has a Digimon with 10,000 or more DP, or you have Tamers with 3 or more total colors, he can go into a Metal Garurumon. And that's really good. You don't always go into it, but he's a really good candidate for that Sunomon Digivolution because you're not missing any on-play abilities. Speaking of on-play abilities, we're running 4 copies of ST21 Palmon, who on play, trash 1 adventure trait Digimon, draw 2. Now again, we're not as concerned about discarding them because we do have Sunomon and another Digimon that can help get those back. And it's inheritable, plus 1000 DP during all turns, can come in handy with another card in the deck. Then we're running 2 copies of ST20 Biomon, and this one is a good searcher. However, in this deck, we're running quite a few cards that are not in the archetype, so I don't like to accidentally bottom deck a Tamer that I really need, or one of the later pieces that I really want to get to. Then to finish things off, 1 copy of ST20 Tentomon, and 1 copy of ST21 Gomamon. Tentomon, your opponent can't reduce Digivolution costs. Gomamon, your opponent can't gain memory other than Tamer effects. So good little disruptive or hurting effects for your opponent. And of course, they're within the archetype. For the champions, we're running 3 copies of ST21 Togemon. On playing and Digivolving, if your Tamers with the adventure trait have 3 or more total colors, it can go right into an adventure trait level 5 without paying the cost. So that is super good and definitely comes in handy later in the game. Then we have 2 copies of ST21 Ikakumon. It has a security effect, so if it gets hit in security, then you actually get to play it out for free. On play, when Digivolving, trash the top 2 Digivolution cards of one of your opponent's Digimon. Then one of their Digimon with no Digivolutions can't attack or block until their turn ends. This is really good if your opponent just has an ace or something and then an ace on top and you get rid of it. This can really stop them from making plays. Super great. And his inheritable being, if you have 7 or less cards, draw 1. So it's really good, especially in a deck where you might be discarding, and if we don't have a proper setup, you might get into a deficit. So that helps you to replenish it a little bit. Then we have 2 copies of ST20 Kabuterimon. When Digivolving, if you have 1 or fewer Tamers, you may play 1 Tamer with the adventure trait from your hand without paying the cost. So free Tamer, great. And its inheritable giving piercing is going to be good in later game situations. Then 1 copy of BT21 Greymon. On play, when Digivolving, if you have tie as a Tamer with the adventure trait, give one of your opponent's Digimon start a main, it attacks. Then it also grants a reboot as it's inheritable, which is pretty strong. For the level 5s, we're running 3 copies of ST21 Zudomon. His on play, when Digivolving, for every 2 color Tamers you have, trash any one of your opponent's Digimon's Digivolution cards, then return one of their Digimon with 1 or fewer to the hand. You return once per turn. If you play another adventure trade, you get Alliance, and that's pretty cool. And the inheritable being Alliance also allows you to swing big for later in the game. Likewise, we're running 3 copies of BT21 Garurumon, who's on play, when Digivolving, delete one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon. If your Tamers have 2 or more total colors, add 1 to this maximum. At first, I wasn't sure quite what this meant, but I think it only goes up to 5, level 5. I don't think he can delete a level 6 if you have 4 different colors, so that's 2 pairs. Add 2, it doesn't do that. It only goes up to 5. Not the best effect, but it's really strong even early to mid-game. He's not taking out any megas, but you wouldn't expect him to. Then he has the same once per turn as Zudomon, and his inheritable, of course, is Alliance. Now, his pseudo evolution, or an alternate level 5 for my level 4s, is EX9's Garurumon Sagittarius mode. Digivolves for only 1 off of Garurumon, so we have that. And then Of course, he's adventure trait, so everything else basically works with it in this deck. On play, when Digivolving, one of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers can't suspend until their turn ends. So we have Weregurumon for deletion, and then we have Zudomon and Weregurumon Sagittarius mode to kind of stop them in their tracks. And then your turn ability, whenever your Digimon or Tamers with Greymon or Matt in their names are played, or any of your Digimon digivolve into something with Greymon in the name, this Digimon can digivolve into a Digimon with Gurumon in the name from the hand without paying the cost. So you don't see that occurring as much in this deck, although I'm sure it could happen. But you're using it more for the evolution and his other effect, and the fact that he's a bit stronger. He's inheritable. When attacking once per turn, de-digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon. De-digivolve is always going to be probably my favorite effect in the game, and one of the stronger ones. Of course, if you're running into something that has no Digivolutions, you have other stuff like Zudomon that say, well, he either gets returned to your hand, or something like Ikakumon that stops him from being able to do anything on the next turn. For the level 6s, it's pretty fun. We have 3 copies of ST21 Rare Garurumon Ace. This is the main one you're going to be seeing. He's very strong. On play, when Digivolving, return one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon to the bottom of the deck. For every 2 colors of Tamers you have, add 1 to this maximum. So very easily, if you have 2 of the different color Tamers, that goes up to level 6. So you're basically taking anything your opponent has, almost, and bottom decking it. And if it's an ace, you're getting that overflow. When attacking once per turn, you may play a level 4 or lower Digimon from the trash without paying the cost. So you can recycle those Ikakumons, you can recycle the Togemons, you can get back the Palmons, the Gabumons. You're able to get those back, and that's really strong. I was kind of debating for a while if I wanted to just run ST21 Metal Garurumon Ace at 4. Right now I'm running it at 3. And now I'm running 1 BT15 Metal Garurumon. If you have any Tamers with Matt in the name, which we definitely will, and your opponent has one Digimon with 10,000 or more, one of your Gabumon can Digivolve with this to the hand for a Digivolution cost of 4. Our Gabumons already have that built in, so I'm not overly concerned with kind of going into that. He has Evade, and when Digivolving, 3 of your opponent's Digimon and Tamers can't suspend till the end of the turn. All turns once per turn. When this Digimon becomes suspended, you may unsuspend it. So this goes for a very aggressive play, and if you have a bunch of stuff out and you have Alliance underneath him, you can go for an attack, multiple security checks. He unsuspends, and then he can go for another attack. So that can go for an aggressive play, although I could see myself just swapping him out for another one of these, but these are the ratios I'm running for now. Now for the last 2 level 6s, we have 2 copies of EX5 Metal Garurumon X Antibody. So it's kind of a pseudo evolution on top of these into him, or alternatively, we can just go from our level 5s into this. So we do have options. He's a blocker, which is amazing because we don't really have many blockers in the deck at this moment. When Digivolving, if Metal Garurumon or X Antibody is in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, which we're not running X Antibody, we're only kind of going off of these guys into him. Until the end of your opponent's turn, all their Digimon gain when attacking lose 4 memories. So this is another instance of my Digimon trying to stop my opponent in their tracks. You only get basically 1 attack unless you get a crazy amount of memory beforehand. Or you want to just do all your plays and not attack, because when you do, I get memory. When attacking, by returning 1 Digimon from your trash to the bottom of the deck, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with the same level as that card. So again, we have a lot of discarding effects. So if we discard something a little higher early on, we can set up for this guy, and then you kind of reset the game by putting it at the bottom of your deck. Not that you'll necessarily see it, but I think it's really strong. Then, as a one-off level 7, we have 1 copy of Gabumon Bond of Friendship Ace. Now this goes off of a Gabumon if you have 2 or fewer cards in your security, or off of a level 6, a blue level 6 for 3. Now the best part about these mega level Digimon, and then even this one as well, is that I've picked my ultimate Digimon, or the level 5s, to make sure that I can always go into them. So our ultimates are Zudomon, who is pure blue but adventure, Weregurumon, who is pure purple and adventure, and then we have Rare Gurumon Sagittarius mode, who is blue black and adventure. So Zudomon can go into, of course, Metal Garurumon Ace, and because the colors match, it can go into Metal Garurumon. It can also go into Metal Garurumon X Antibody, and then, of course, it can then go into this guy. Rare Garurumon is purple. It's adventure, so it can go into Metal Garurumon no problem. And the great part is that it's a rare Garurumon who can go into Metal Garurumon with its alternative Digivolution, where it says level 5 with Garurumon in its name, cost of 4. So that's great. He can go into him, he can go into him. And then Rare Garurumon is both a Garurumon and blue. So no matter what, it can go into that. So it's not locked out of their Digivolutions. Then we're looking at Metal Garurumon X Antibody. Once again, it needs a level 5 with a cost of 4, purple or blue. Purple, blue, blue. So every single one of these can go into any of the megas, or at least the level 6s. It's really fun to make a stack of rare Garurumon, which we can reduce its play cost if we have a bunch of tamers out, or we can just like kind of digivolve into it, or go from a Togemon, and if we have enough tamers, go into it for free. So we can actually go into this for either 7 reduced, or even Togemon, who's like, I think 4, or even less. So go into level 3, go into this guy, pay 1, go into Rare Garurumon Sagittarius mode, go a step beyond, go into Metal Garurumon Ace, go another step beyond, Metal Garurumon X Antibody, and then the final piece, Gabumon Bond of Friendship. So we can go from 5 to 5 to 6 to 6 to 7, and then all those ridiculous effects, and just kind of be a ridiculous stack of a pretty strong Digimon. And then you do what you got to do, and it's really fun. That's it for the Digimon. We're going to take a look at the tamers. Now, the most interesting one is going to be 2 copies of the ST16 Matt Ishida. He's a memory setter, and all turns when any of your effects trashes a card in your hand, suspend it, gain 1 memory. We have plenty of effects that do that, so we're going to see that benefit quite often. Also, he's a Matt, which helps for some of the cards in the deck. Although he's not in the archetypes, which is why I wanted to limit the number of archetypal searches, because it feels so bad to bottom deck him when you were so close to drawing into it. As for the rest of the tamers, we're running basically 2 copies of each of the starter deck tamers. So 2 copies ST20 Ty and Izzy, 2 copies ST21 Matt and TK, 2 copies ST21 Joe and Mimi, and then 2 copies of the ST20 Sora and Kairi. For the options, I'm kind of still playing around with some of the numbers. So initially I ran 4 of the ST21 Believe in Our Friendship, but because of how specific it has to go into an adventure card, and I don't want to necessarily bottom deck some pieces that just aren't in that archetype but are really needed or good, I'm only running 2 of these. Then its daily ability gives you 2 memory, which is very nice, but I opted to do only 2 of those. Then we have 2 ST20 Our Courage United. Its ability is just draw 2, so you just dig deeper into your deck and hopefully get some of those pieces that you want. Then it's all turns. Whenever your level 5 or higher Digimon would leave the battle area, you may play a level 5 or lower Digimon with adventure trait from your hand without paying the cost. So you could potentially play a Togemon, and then that, if you have the tamers needed, you can then Digivolve that, and then you can start ramping up for your next turn. And finally, we have 1 copy of ST21 Tenai's House. If you have no face-up Tenai House in your security cards, you can ignore the color. Security, your turn, all your level 3 or higher Digimon get 3000 DP. Now its main is add your bottom security card to the hand and then place this face-up as the bottom security. That's really good because the Island of Adventure goes to the top. And at least in my eyes, your opponent will probably just hit that and it'll go away, and it didn't really do you any good. This one goes to the bottom, so you're going to get the benefit from it for the majority of the game. So all your Digimon, this 4K just became a 7K, and that's way better. Then in the security, you can play 1 level 3 Digimon from your trash without paying the cost. And at that point of the game, you're definitely going to have them in the trash. So this isn't going to be dead, but you're definitely going to be hailing Mary because it's going to be near the end of the game at that point. Where hopefully you can go into something like a Palmon, which you can use to draw into cards, or you can use it to go into a Gabumon, which the next turn, hopefully, you'll be able to go up and warp Digivolve into a Mega, and maybe go for a game off of that. This deck definitely started as my answer to the Adventure tie deck, where I bought all the cards for that, and then I had all these other cards. And then I just kind of went into what does Gabumon and his line do, and what is it capable of, and kind of combining a lot of the blue stuff from the Ikakumon line. And I think there's kind of a lot of disruptive effects for the opponent, and it's still definitely a work in progress. But as the game grows, I think this is a fun little deck, and sometimes more fun to play than the other one, I'll be honest. I definitely like the blue effects, and the way it plays with purple is... Well, guys, that's it for my adventure deck matte version. What'd you think? Did some of the picks surprise you? Let me know in the comments below. If you want to stay up to date on my videos and live streams on both YouTube and Twitch, check out links in the description below. Like, comment, subscribe, and consider joining. That's all for now, guys. Manjoume out.